Welcome back. Bonsoir, bonsoir on this beautiful day. So today for this Vinyasa class, we'd like to do something on, most of the focus is going to be on the psoas. So I think with all that has been happening, being locked down at home, working from home, or just being on the couch, there's a lot of sitting. So when we sit, so either driving around, so the only people that work these days pretty much are delivery people. So they sit a lot. And when you sit, the psoas muscle shortens, and also the only pretty much exercise I think that people have been doing of late is probably walking. Walking is good, but at the same time, you work a lot the psoas muscle, so you don't want to forget to stretch it. So let's start on our backs. A little bit different today. Just with your knees bent. So you can just relax on your back, keeping the neck nice and long. Relax your arms, bending the knees, keeping your feet hip-width distance apart for stability of the pelvic region. And just relax for a moment. So keeping the knees bent allows to relax in the pelvic region, the psoas muscle. So the psoas muscle are the hip flexors, the ones that allow to swing the leg forward when you walk. And as I mentioned before, when you're in this very similar position when you're sitting, that muscle shortens because you kind of tense when you sit it. Here, you're really just relaxed and you can feel your breath. So we start eyes closed, relaxing completely so that you can feel the movement of your abdomen as you inhale, abdomen rising, and as you exhale, abdomen falling. So really for a minute or so, we really focus on that navel movement along with the breath. For the diaphragm, the muscle of the respiration, is quite linked to the health and the relaxation of this psoas muscle. So the psoas muscle is very much a fight or flight response muscle. So the way to keep it happy, relaxed, balanced is to also activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is very much done with deep breath. So you can just connect to the rhythm of your breath for a moment. Feeling deep within. And we'll be doing a lot of poses to strengthen, stretch, activate this psoas muscle, which is actually the only muscle that attaches to a disc in the spine. It's also very linked to lower back muscles as it attaches on the spine, and if it shortens, it would tend to pull the lower back forward, kind of tilting the pelvis forward, creating some sort of pinching in the back. So very important to keep that healthy, balanced, stretched, strong at the same time. So taking one more deep breath, you'll continue to try to focus obviously on the breath as usual, and also these psoas muscles that run from the inside of the leg through the pelvic floor up into the lower spine. And very gently you can lift your hips for a moment, pressing your feet into the floor. So just like if you wanted to keep your lower back into the floor and scooping your tailbone under by lifting your buttocks. So you start activating with your glutes and you scoop your tailbone under, just lifting your pubic bone. And then you relax. And just like if you were lifting the lower back, tilting your pelvis forward. So it's almost the same movement as a cat and cow. So it's a very probably a more subtle movement, but just try to feel that movement of the pelvic floor, lifting your buttocks, flattening your lower back, and then nice little curve into the lower back, reaching your hip bones up and forward. And then you relax, and you can bring your knees to your chest. Give yourself a good hug. Keeping your right knee to your chest, you can extend your left leg forward. So we're stretching the hip flexor on the left side here, pressing the heel onto the floor. Right knee to your chest. You can squeeze it for a breath or two. And then as you exhale, you bring your left knee back to your chest. Squeeze your left knee. Extend your right leg forward. And you press your heel into the floor. Just a couple of breaths. Feeling that stretch of the psoas muscle. And then knee to chest. Give it a good squeeze. Hands onto your knees. And you can start to rock back and forth, massaging the whole spine. Try to focus on the lower back, hip. If this is too much, you can always roll onto one side. Otherwise, coming all the way to a stand through a squat. And we'll get going with some Vinyasa flow. So really starting to get movement throughout the body. Hands in prayer position in front of your heart. So really connecting to your Ujjayi breath. Keeping that breath moving along with the movement. And as you inhale, you stretch your arms out and up, pressing your feet into the earth, reaching up to the sky. As you exhale, bending into your knees, nice and easy at the beginning, folding forward, fingertips to the floor. And you can step your right leg back, taking a low lunge. You drop your knee, point your toes, and you start looking forward and up, dropping your hips as much as possible. So just a slight move of the left knee forward so that you feel the stretch into your left psoas, hip flexor at the front on the right. Slowly releasing, looking down, planting your hands. You can step back into a cat and cow, bringing your hands under your shoulders. And then you're going to extend your right leg back. So we're going to start activating into the core. If you can go a bit further, maybe extending your left arm forward. So the hip flexor here helps to stabilize. So we activate these muscles, also the core, as we need to stabilize the body here, trying to keep the shoulders and hips nice and squared. And you release back to center. We take the other side, extend your left leg, reach back with your heel, maybe reaching your right fingertips forward. So notice how this all happens across the body. Taking one more breath, inhale, lengthen. And as you exhale, you release. You can walk your hands slightly forward, arching into your back. And we move into our Vinyasa, nice and slow. You can lower all the way down, chest, forehead to the floor, elbows pointing back. Exhale, relaxing completely onto your abdomen. Inhale, use your back muscles, lift up. So we start noticing, again, an activation, a stretch into the hip flexor at the front. Exhale, you release. Tuck the toes under, pushing onto your hands. Stretching back through a child's pose. Tucking your toes under, pressing your feet into the earth. Reaching your hips back. Down dog. Taking a few breaths into your down dog here. So just making sure that the breath is still going nice and deep. Ideally, Ujjayi breath, slight constriction into the back of the throat, but making sure it's really deep into your abdomen. Again, working that diaphragm really helps to relax the psoas muscle. This is what really brings some good relaxation, even though we're moving in our yoga practice. And then inhaling, right leg up. Trying to keep the hips nice and squared, shoulders squared. So again, we're activating around the pelvic floor, the abdomen, muscles. And as you exhale, knee to chest, stepping all the way forward between your hands, dropping your back knee, point your toes. And as you exhale, we're going to move into Ardha Hanuman. So we start working towards straightening that front leg, flexing your toes. So it doesn't need to be straight just yet. Inhaling, coming forward, reaching forward with your right knee, heart forward, maybe even looking up. And as you exhale, again, trying to keep your hips nice and squared, feeling the stretch into the whole back side of the leg, folding over your leg. Inhale, reach forward, so stay onto your fingertips so you have stability and you don't overstretch. Last one. As you exhale, reach back with your tailbone. Try to keep reaching forward with the heart, crown, back is flat. And as you inhale, coming forward, now we're going to move into gate pose so you can turn your left toes towards the right, bringing your left shin parallel to the short edge of the mat, coming up, turning your right toes in, pressing your sole of the right foot onto the floor, reaching your arms up as you inhale. So feel the stretch into the side, left side of the body and in front of your left hip. And as you exhale, you're going to release your right hand onto your leg. No pressure, just putting your hand onto your leg so that you can start reaching towards the right, making sure that your top shoulder is not dropping forward. So this is not a forward fold, this is a lateral stretch. So we're stretching the whole side here. And as you inhale, coming back to center. Releasing your hands onto the floor, framing your front foot. And then we'll step forward. Inhale, lengthening into the spine, halfway lift, realigning the spine. And as you exhale, soft bend into your knees, folding forward, relaxing into your pelvic area, abdomen. As you inhale, press your feet into the earth, rising all the way up, nice and strong. Lengthen into the front of the body. And as you exhale, you release, arms by your side. And we keep moving with the breath. Inhale, reach up. Again, we press the feet into the earth, activating into the pelvic floor muscles. And as you exhale, folding forward, melting over your legs, still bending into your knees if you feel you need to. Stepping your left leg back. Again, you drop your knee. Just a nice, easy low lunge. So you start dropping your hips down, keeping your hips nice and squared, heart forward, looking up. See if you can feel the stretch into the front of the body so that you stretch that hip flexor. And then slowly releasing. Now we're going to step into Chaturanga, full plank position to activate the core muscles. Exhaling, bringing the knees down into Ashtanga. Bending into your elbows, arching into your spine, maybe a little bit further. Keep relaxing the shoulder blades, elbows pointing back off the floor, bringing your chest, forehead to the floor, releasing all the way down. Point your toes. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Lifting your heart. Maybe you can go all the way to your full Bhujangasana, straightening your arms, relax into the shoulders, maybe even looking up to deepen the stretch into the front of the body. Exhale, you release, mindfully rolling the spine down, tucking your toes under, pushing onto your hands. Hips can reach to the heels, just passing through a child's pose, pressing your feet into the earth. Lift your hips up. Feel the lengthening from your index finger all the way into the spine. Head is relaxed. On your next breath in, left leg up. Again, you want to keep your hips nice and squared, reaching back with your left heel. And then nice and slow, control movements, stepping forward right between your hands. Drop your back knee, point your toes, staying onto your fingertips. Nice and slow as you exhale, you start stretching into Ardha Hanuman, stretching the whole back of the leg. Again, keeping the hips squared so we get a bit more into that hamstring. Inhale, coming forward. So you notice the stretch on the right side here. Exhale, so we get a bit into all muscles around the hips so that we relax. Inhale, coming forward. all around the hips, stretching, strengthening, activating. Last one. Make sure you flex your toes so you get a good stretch even in the calf. Inhale, coming forward, and again we're going to turn to gate pose. Sole of the left foot flat, pressing down. Top of the right foot pressing down. Inhaling, reaching up. And as you exhale, lateral stretch to the left. Nice and easy with your left hand, and just really reaching towards the left with your right hand. So you want to relax into your right rib cage. Feel the stretch into the front of the right hip. Taking one more breath. Deep inhale, coming back. Exhale, releasing, hands walking around to frame the front foot. Stepping forward. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Realigning the spine. Exhale, you fold, soften, forehead towards your shin. Inhale, pressing your feet into the earth, rising all the way up. Exhale, you release, hands by your heart and then by your side. Pressing your left foot into the earth, we move into Vrikshasana tree pose, picking up your right knee. So either your foot comes onto the inside of the calf, or maybe if you can go all the way inside of your thigh, you press your foot into your thigh, you try to open your hip as much as possible, keeping your balance here. So we've got a few things happening here, especially around the hips, obviously here. The core to stabilize, also this IT band outside of the leg. If you have stability here, you're nicely grounded with your left leg. You can start to inhale your arms up, keeping the gaze forward for good balance. And you make sure you breathe deeply into your abdomen. Again, work that diaphragm with a deep breath into your abdomen. Try to relax into that right hip as it keeps opening. Taking one more breath. And then nice and slow as you exhale, you release your arms by your side. You can help your knee to come back. See if you can keep your foot off the floor. Nice and slow, we're going to step your foot back. Coming into a runner's lunge, keeping your fingertips to the floor. Dropping your hip down as much as possible, so your left knee is right above your ankle. See if you can keep that position as much as possible. Trying to keep your hips squared, so you reach forward with your right hip and try to keep that action happening. Pressing your left heel into the floor, we move into a high lunge, reaching the arms up. So again, you want to reach forward with your right hip, drawing that left hip back. So you should be feeling a deeper stretch into your right hip flexor. Relaxing into the shoulders, activate into the core here. Nice and slow as you exhale, we're going to open out into Warrior 2. Spin your back heel down, 90-degree angle. Keep sending that front knee forward, feeling that stretch onto the inside of the legs. Relax the shoulders. And then flipping your front palm, we'll reverse. On an inhale, keeping the bend into the front knee. Lateral stretch. Nice and slow as you exhale, you windmill your arms down, planting your hands, stepping back, Chaturanga. Maybe we build up onto the Vinyasa. You can keep bringing your knees down or lowering down in one piece. Either Cobra or Up Dog, rolling over your big toes if you feel you can take further. Exhale, use your core muscles. Stretch your hips back, Down Dog. Inhaling, right leg up. Again, you want to reach it nice and long. Reach back. Hips are nice and squared. See if you can relax your left heel onto the floor. Stepping all the way through between your hands. Staying onto your fingertips. High onto the ball of your back foot. And you're going to work towards pyramid. So we work towards straightening that front leg. So we go a little bit deeper here. Inhale, coming forward. So we're back into that runner's lunge, reaching the heart forward. As you exhale, you reach your tailbone back, working towards straightening the leg. You want to push your right big toe into the floor. Inhale, drop the hips hard forward. Last one, making sure that your hips are nice and squared, back is flat as much as possible. So keep a bend into your knee if you need to. And then rebend into your front knee. Reach forward as you inhale. Exhale, step all the way through, forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen, halfway lift. See if you can lengthen into the back of the legs, the spine. And as you exhale, forehead towards your shins. Inhale, rising all the way up. Palms together. And as you exhale, you release through your heart by your side, pressing your right foot into the earth. Left side for your tree pose. So choose the version that suits you. Firm your inner thigh. Press your foot into the inner thigh. Activating your core for good stability. Once you've got your stability, inhale to grow your branches, leaves of the tree all the way up to the sky, but making sure that you're still nicely rooted into the earth. So very important to have the roots actually. The funny story is that this week we've had a bit of wind here, and I think the trees of my lemon tree are not so strong for some reason, and it's now on the ground. So you don't want to go down on the ground, so you want to make sure that you have nice strong roots, and the hip flexors can help you do that, because this is all to do with pelvic stability. Nice and slowly exhale. You can release. Again, you can help your knee to come back, keeping your foot off the floor, stepping all the way back into a lunge, fingertips to the floor. So take a moment to get the strong foundation into your legs, keeping the hips nice and squared as much as possible. So draw that right hip back, left hip forward. Press your left heel into the floor, nicely rooted. You magnetize that foot into the floor as you rise up, reach up. So notice how we stretch here into the front of the left hip. And the more you square your hips, the more you get that stretch. If you need to keep a soft bend into your back knee, that's fine. Otherwise, you can start to extend that leg to deepen the stretch here. Shoulders nice and relaxed. And as you exhale, opening out, warrior two. Make sure that front knee is right above your ankle, not falling in. Taking a few breaths, looking at your front hand, shoulders relaxed, neck is relaxed. Breathing deeply into your abdomen. We'll take one more breath. And then you can flip to reverse, keeping the bend into the front knee. Nice and soft onto your back leg. Slowly as you exhale, windmill your arms down, plant your hands, step back, Chaturanga, going through Vinyasa of your choice. Inhale, look up. Exhale, stretch back, down dog. Right, left leg up. Again, you reach nice and long, toes pointing down, hips squared. Stepping all the way through. Coming onto your fingertips, nice and high onto the ball of your back foot. So you lift your right hip. And as you exhale, start reaching back with your left hip, straightening the leg. Looking forward. Inhale, rebend. Reach forward with the heart, keeping the spine straight. Exhale, reach back with your hips, nice and high onto the ball of your back foot, pressing onto the ball of the front foot. Inhale, pyramid pose, so we deepen the stretch into the hamstring, also working on that hip flexor. And then releasing, inhale, look forward. Exhale, stepping forward. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, you fold. Inhale, reaching all the way up. And as you exhale, you release. Hands by your heart. Arms by your side. Utkatasana, bending into your knees. Reaching your arms forward and up. We're going to hold that for a moment. So keep breathing. Dropping your body weight towards your heels. One more breath. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, you fold. Stepping your right leg back. Reaching your arms up. We move into that low lunge. Try to keep the same alignment as before. Opening out in your warrior two. Inhaling, straightening your front leg. Keeping your back foot 90-degree angle. We're going to move into triangle. So reaching forward, 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 forward with your left hand. You want to scoop that hip under as much as possible. So we're folding over that leg, reaching to the outside of the leg with your left hand. If you can't reach the floor, you keep it dangling. Opening through the chest, looking up at the sky. If you have the floor, that's fine. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. So we're working very much on the psoas muscle here. We've got a flexion on the left hip, stretch of the psoas muscle on the right. One more deep breath. Feeling into the pelvic floor here. And as you exhale, slowly looking down, bend into your front knee, plant your hands, and we'll go through Vinyasa, stepping back, lowering all the way down. Inhale, Cobra, Up Dog, your choice. As you exhale, stretch back, Down Dog. Reaching your right leg up, bend your knee, stack your hip. It's a little bit different here. See if you can feel that stretch on the right hip flexor as you reach your knee right up to the sky. And then slowly, as you exhale, you're going to step forward, right between your hands. Again, moving into pyramid pose. Now this time, full pyramid pose. And if you can go a little bit further, you're going to reach your left hand outside of your right foot. So stay maybe onto your fingertips. Try to keep your hips nice and squared. And if you can, you start walking your right hand outside. Maybe keeping your spine nice and straight. If you can go for a full version, you can extend your right arm out to the side and up to twist. And then very slowly releasing, reframe your front foot, bend into your front knee. Look forward. Exhale, stepping all the way forward. Inhale, lengthen, halfway lift. Exhale, you fold. Bending into your knees, Utkatasana, reaching your arms up. Sink your hips down as much as you can. So we're really working here on the hip flexors. Try to relax into the shoulders. Exhale, folding forward. We'll take the other side. Inhale, lengthen, halfway lift. Exhale, you fold. Left leg back, rising up, high lunge. Opening out into your warrior two. Deep inhale, straighten your leg. Make sure you activate your quadricep here at the front. And as you exhale, reach forward. So you really want to lengthen from that hip onto the right side to reach forward, 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 and down. Stacking the hips, stacking the shoulders. So you really want to have those hips stacked as much as possible. So you want to feel that internal rotation into the front leg. Top shoulder leans back. So we open through the chest, collarbone as you look up. Taking a couple of breaths here. In through the nose. Out through the nose. As you exhale, you release. Rebend into your front knee, planting your hands. Taking a vinyasa, lowering down on the same exhale. Inhale, look up. Exhale, stretch back. Next, inhale, left leg up, bend your knee, stack your hips again. See if you can reach your knee right up to the sky, trying to keep your shoulders squared so that you feel that stretch on the hip flexor. Bending into your knee, left heel to your right buttocks. And then slow control motion, stepping forward, coming onto your fingertips. Again, we come into full pyramid pose. Square the hips, try to keep your spine nice and flat. Maybe walking your right hand outside of your left foot, maybe staying onto the fingertips, or if you're more flexible, you can press your hand flat Again, if you can go further, extending your left arm out and up. So that might be a little bit tricky with the balance here. If you need to keep your left hand on the floor, that's okay. The full reverse triangle normally has the back heel onto the floor, but it's a little bit harder maybe. Nice and slow, you can release, reframe your front foot. Look forward, rebend into your front knee, stepping all the way through. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, you fold. Utkatasana, bending into your knees, reaching your arms up. And now we're going to sink down a little bit more with the hips. So see if you can control the descent, maybe keeping your arms up. Bringing your hips to touch your heels and see if you can come all the way down. Love this one. Sitting back with grace. Easy version, you can bring your hands on the floor. So we're really activating now into those hip flexors, psoas muscles. So you want to make sure you don't dump your back. Easy version is just to lift one leg. You can switch the legs. Otherwise, if you do both legs. Next version, keeping your shins parallel to the floor, is to bring your arms up. So again, you don't want to collapse into your lower back. So you pull your heart forward. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Maybe still going further, you can extend your legs. So that's a little bit stronger on the hip flexor. And then slowly we're going to come down to Ardha Navasana. So you want to relax just the bottom of the shoulder blades on the floor, keeping your heels off the floor. So you want to press your navel in towards the spine. And you keep activating here. So really strong onto that pelvic floor, keeping the lower back nice and flat as much as possible. We'll take a few more breaths here. In through the nose, out through the nose. In the tradition of yoga, we hold this for 108 minutes. No, just kidding. Slowly you can release. And you can bend into your knees, keeping your feet mat distance apart, letting your knees to knock together, really relaxing into that abdominal pelvic region. Good work. See if you can really feel into those hip flexors, which we are now going to stretch. So you can place your feet hip-width distance apart, just the same way that we started. But we'll go a little bit stronger with a bridge pose. Arms by your side, palms facing down. Exhale your breath. And as you inhale, press your hands, press your feet, lift your hips. So you want to engage your glutes so that you help to relax the front of the body here. Lifting your hips, arching into the spine. Pressing your hands a little bit more. See if you can lift your hips a little bit more. Maybe going further, you can interlace your fingers under your lower back, rolling the shoulders under. And you keep breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Trying to keep the knees above the ankles. And you lift up to the sky, neck is long. Trying to be on the shoulders rather than the neck, so shoulders are rolled under, so that you can get a bit more lift and try to really focus. Feel the stretch into the front inside of the hips. Couple more breaths. Nice and slow, you can release. Grip of the hands, rolling the spine down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Hugging your knees into your chest. Give it a good squeeze. Maybe you can lift your head up and you can even get hold of your elbows. Relaxing your head back down so that we get a good stretch, keeping your hips, sit bones in contact with the floor as much as possible. Taking a few deep breaths here, still quite deep into your abdomen. One more deep breath. And as you exhale, you release the grip of the hands, bringing your feet back to mat distance apart. You can extend your arms out in T-shaped position. Exhaling both knees out to the left. So we're gonna, if you can, place your left foot on top of your right knee, or the ankle rather, and try to keep the right shoulder relaxed. So with your left knee, you want to think of pulling forward instead of just down, so that you feel a good stretch onto the front here of the hip. So we're stretching the right hip flexor here. Trying to really breathe into it. So breathing still quite deep into the abdomen, but more so on the right side as well. So that right hip, right rib cage. And trying to really let it soften as you exhale. So we'll take a few more breaths here, working on the psoas is really a good way to relax, which also helps with sleeping. So if you have insomnia, it could be due to maybe also the hip flexor. Also the hip flexor tension can indicate some anxiety or stress. And again, since we use it quite a lot anyway, it is a really good idea to work it, stretch it, relax it, keeping the lower back healthy. And then nice and slow, you're going to keep your left knee on your left ankle on your right knee, coming up. You'll get into number 4 shape. So you want to move your left knee away from your torso, and you're going to slowly bring your left sole onto the right side of your mat. Again, trying to keep your shoulder blades nice and relaxed. So we're working a bit more into the sacroiliac joint here on the left side, which is also something that can bring problems in the lower back, in all this region. Some people don't feel it so much in here, but if you really relax into the shoulders, so you get more twist into the ribs, so really trying to relax your left lower ribs, twisting the spine a bit more, you'll feel a bit more stretch around that left hip. And then nice and slow, coming back to center. As you inhale, you release, and we'll take the other side, so you can bring your feet back to mat distance apart. Exhaling to the right, placing your right ankle on top of your right knee. Again, you want to think of pulling forward. You'll notice that your left hip gonna have a tendency to lift up. So every breath out, you want to try to relax, so that you again feel the lower back ribs softening a bit more towards the earth, towards the floor. Really relaxing, noticing how the exhale helps to soften the tissues, relax the mind. We also often have maybe pent-up emotions, fear, anxiety, guilt around the pelvic region, the hips, this psoas region. So really breathing deep, trying to let go every exhale, working on the deeper layers of your being can really help to bring more ease, release, relaxation. Again, keep that number 4 shape nice and slow. You can inhale to come up, aligning your back heel with your hip, right knee away from the chest, and slowly exhaling to the left. So keeping the right knee up, shin should be quite vertical, and you can twist a little bit more to the right every exhale. I'm going to take a few last breaths here. You can already close your eyes if you haven't, so that you really feel that connection from the lumbar spine, around the hips. Just notice what you feel, left side, right side. And then on your next inhale, nice and slow, you can come up, releasing your leg. You can bend your knee towards your chest, bringing your hands on your knees, maybe just taking some circles out with your knees a couple of times. Still with your eyes closed so that you can really feel around the hips, and then maybe just taking a few breaths in a happy baby, Ananda-balasana, getting hold of your big toes or outside edge of the feet, keeping the lower back nice and flat. You draw your knees towards your chest, keeping the shoulder blades in contact with the floor, so your back should be quite relaxed still. Just feeling into the hip flexor here. And then you can slowly release your feet on the floor, still with your knees bent. Just taking a moment here before we move into Shavasana, just to gently, like we did at the start, lift your buttocks, just moving the pelvis a few times, really releasing the psoas muscle before we move into Shavasana. Notice the difference maybe from the start, if you feel any different. And then slowly you can stretch one leg at a time, moving into your Shavasana. Taking a deep breath into your abdomen, and then you let go, relaxing into the hips. So you really want to let your toes drop out to the side, working on that external rotation into the hips, relaxing into the front of the hips. Just letting the body, the mind integrate the practice. You might choose to stay for a little bit longer in your Shavasana, in which case you might want to switch everything off and just relax completely. Otherwise, just a few minutes here. To try to just feel any sensations around the hips, front, outside, inside the legs, the sacrum, lower back, and maybe even deep inside the sacroiliac joint, the hip, deep inside the pelvic area. Any sensations, any feelings. Just be conscious. Maybe even feeling the breath in this area. Slowly bringing the awareness back into the whole body, inviting the breath in, little movement in your extremities. On your next inhale, you can interlace your fingers, stretching your arms overhead, stretch your legs, pointing your toes, and feel that stretch in the front of the hips. And then as you exhale, you can draw your knees into your chest. Rolling over onto your left side. Taking a few breaths here, maybe resting your head on your arm. Bringing your right palm into the earth. When you feel ready, you can slowly press yourself up. Still with your eyes closed, finding a comfortable cross-legged sit. Pressing your palms together in front of your heart, spine nice and tall. So see if you can let those knees relax. Notice the relaxation in your hips. And we'll try to keep the awareness as we walk out off the mat into the hip flexor, maybe noticing the ease, trying to focus every time you sit or walk on the sensations around the hip. Very important muscle to look after so that you stay healthy. Lower back can also have impacts on digestion, sleep, a few different issues. So even off the mat, we want to be practicing yoga, deep awareness of the body, the breath, the thoughts, the mind. Closing the practice by bringing the tips of the thumbs to the third eye. And we bow in gratitude to the divine light that surrounds us and resides within each one of us. Hari Om Tat Sat. Peace, love and light. Gently blinking your eyes open when you feel ready. That's it for this Psoas class. I'll be doing some more different versions. There's a lot of things to do. Until next time, just practice again and again. Deep awareness. Try to square your hips, move around, and I'll see you next time.